Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Beyond All Reason for a 16 versus 16 match. Yes, there are 32 players on screen. This is going to be chaotic and crazy for everybody involved. And of course, I don't have time to introduce the players the way I normally would. So on screen right now, we're going to go ahead and show you a graphic showing all of the teams. The left-hand side is showing all of the players on the western side of the map, and the right-hand side is showing all the players on the eastern side, and that is relative to where the camera is right now, and hopefully that's enough of an introduction for these players. I don't know if it's going to upset anybody in this game, but unfortunately there are too many of you. So right now we have two commanders named Mighty Sheep. That is a little bit weird. Don't know what's going on right there. Did somebody rename their commander? Or did they somehow spawn with two commanders? Either way, there are, of course, as I mentioned, 32 players in this game. And Team 1 over here on the left-hand side of your screen is currently moving out. Mighty Sheep being very, very aggressive with a few early land units, trying to get some scouts out, trying to maybe even get a tiny bit of damage done, but unfortunately going to run in to a bunch of light assault units coming out from our boy Phoenix. And that's going to be a very quick end to their life. We also have Anne and Decat here in the middle who are going to do very, very well. And in the chat, I have a player who is playing with us. Mighty Sheep apparently took over another player's commander because they disconnected while, I guess, loading in. So that's why he is currently controlling two commanders. So I guess, technically speaking, you could argue that it is a 15 versus 16. But hey, it happens, and Mighty Sheep is, from the looks of it, one of the highest rated players in this game, so he shouldn't have too much issue with keeping up in this game. Now, of course, we're looking at the map, Coombe Valley. We have this large valley here in the middle for which the name gets, or the map gets its name, not the name gets its map. And of course, we have a few units out here harassing. I believe those are units out from Decat trying to get some damage done. Did manage to pick up a constructor right over here, as well as a metal extractor. Going to be very happy with that. And in this valley in the middle, you're going to see most of the fighting. The teams, of course, separated by it. There are some high ground areas for each of the teams to occupy, which they can set up some defenses on. And there's these two mountain ranges in the middle of the valley that can be used to get very aggressive plays down. And I've seen some very cool things happen there. And we're just going to see some pretty explosions and hopefully have a good game for all of the bar fans down there. And of course, we have so many plays to get through. I am going to miss things. I would miss things in any game if it was a 16 versus 16 format. So please, forgive me before we get into any of that happening. And of course, the early game going about as you would expect. Mighty Sheep with the double commander so far has managed to get quite a little bit done, has managed to walk into the middle with that commander there and get himself set up with some defenses. We have a comm being destroyed. I believe that is the commander of Oz Park, and that is in fact not a mistake if you are one of our FAF fans. The commander leaves around 2,000 metal reclaim and can be used in the early game to boost yourself up to a higher tech level, and you can see he is already reclaiming the wreck of that commander as we speak with that little Lazarus bot. I believe that's a Lazarus. Yes, it is. I'm getting my unit names down pretty well, and that's going to be really, really good for him. And it's going to be very, very fun. And of course, here in the middle, we have some heavy laser towers going down for both sides. It's very important to get these laser towers. You can see the tiny ones, and then you can see those triple-barreled heavy laser towers coming out. Also, for some reason, the audio very quiet on some of these units. Of course, I could go into the settings and change that here in just a moment. But those heavy laser towers, they have higher range, and they are really strong strong against some stronger units, and they just give you a lot of control. So very cool to see that here. We also have a exploiter, armed metal extractor, being thrown up here in the middle, a kind of stopgap point defense that I don't think there's a metal point there, so he's not really going to get too much out of that. And as we zoom out down here to the south, we can see some units starting to clash between Ragna and Eldariel, as well as some units coming out from, I believe that is Prime Federator, who will be able to help out fighting against Ragna. Ragna, the highest rated player in this entire game at 49 true skill rating. Very, very high up there, and has a nice shiny silver badge to his name for all of his efforts. And of course, we can go ahead and start looking at the economies. Up here in the top right-hand corner, you can see the metal and energy economies of both teams. Blue team, or Team 1, currently a little bit in the lead, showing an average of about 50 metal per second ahead of their opponents, and that could very realistically result in some very lopsided fights very early on. Mighty Sheep is fighting forward. A commander blown up in the back, I believe, for reclaim, and another commander killed on the front by, I believe that's Majek and Metrarch. And Mighty Sheep just keeping on with the aggression here. You can see that this heavy laser tower is being built very far forward. He wants to continue to push forward, push into players like Anne, into players like Decat and Omega Hers, as well as Phoenix. And he's not going to be stopped. He has a lot of economy behind him. He's in a very strong position, and he is determined to push forward. Another commander going down up here. Not sure whose that was, but we have explosions going on left and right now it seems as though Majek has been the only player able to survive all of the aggression going on thus far, and he is continuing to push forward. This team on the north, which consists of the blue and green players, and actually it's kind of the west is what we're going to call it, Team 1, are pushing forward very, very effectively, and we also have some tanks here in the middle fighting it out. Let's go ahead and just really quick do a side detour. We're going to go ahead and go over to audio, master volume, put it up. We're going to put battle sounds up, and we're going to bring music down just a little bit to help me in editing. And I'm sure that I'm going to edit that settings out, and of course, we can go ahead and get out of this. And yeah, sorry about that for everybody watching the video version of that. We went ahead and went into the settings, fixed the audio, but we are back, and you can already see some air units coming out from either Fontaine or Prime Federator. I can't really tell. It's two shades of green, and they're going to be flying up here onto this hill, and it seems as though they are going up and against Ozpark, and they're going to drop some bombs, and oh no! It's a disaster. Ozpark gonna be in a lot of pain very soon if he's unable to stop these bombers. They're coming in for another pass, and this is gonna be a very dangerous play. Coming out very early. I believe that was a air factory going down for Ozpark, and now there are these advanced metal extractors which could be targeted once again. I think the bombers are flying back around. They're turning back around. They're gonna come back up this hill, and they will drop their bombs again, and we have to see if he's gonna be able to hold this off, because this is gonna be a very painful play early on. Ozpark sacrificing his commander for early economy, and now he's going to be in a very rough position, losing another factory. And these bombers, they just don't quit. They're still flying around. They're still doing their thing. A commander out from Khazar showing up to try and help him. These advanced metal extractors are surviving very well, and as long as Ozpark can keep one of his engineers alive, he is not out of this game. But those bombers is very effective at harassing Ozpark out of this early game. And here in the middle, we still have fighting going on. Mighty Sheep as well as Majek pushing forward, being aggressive. Mighty Sheep trying to get a D-gun down onto all of these thugs. Actually, those are Centurions, I believe, which are, oh no, maces, plasma bots. I'm sorry, they look very the samey. But getting a lot of damage down, and now we're gonna see that commander of Mighty Sheep, he's cloaked. He can decloak and D-gun very soon, and oh! Beautiful shots coming out from that commander from Mighty Sheep. He is really pulling his weight for this team. His biggest counter, which is Ragna, is even having struggles up against players like Eldariel and, of course, Pure Malt. And we even have some units coming out from Stardom I believe, over here to help out. And, of course, Ragna, Decat, Omega Hers, they're all being pushed back. Anne's base is about to be no more as units encroach from the front lines and just start to rip apart this poor pink Armada base. The light laser towers don't look like they're long for this world, and Anne looking very, very weak here in this early game. D-Guns coming out from Anne, trying to do beautiful plays with them, and does manage to pick up the majority of the tanks, but Anne may just go down due to the fire coming in. Does manage to pick up that last tank, loses all of the light laser towers, and in comes more of these Rocketeers. These bots are super deadly, and they can kill off light laser towers without any issue, and now they're just dismantling the base of Anne. Anne is going to run away with the commander. Mighty Sheep still setting up a strong beachhead for his team. Would love to see some units from some allies showing up to try and help out over here. And as we zoom out, we see some units now coming out from Omega Hers trying to push back against Quick and Madajek. And of course, things going up to snuff, things being very aggressive for both sides. That's a lot of units out of Decat who are trying to push forward. Captain Benji over on that northern side of the map doing very well for themselves, pushing in towards the defenses of Tyvian with some Rocketeers, and Tyvian really looking light on the ground, doesn't have enough units to really stop a concerted push from Captain Benji there. Something to keep in our minds as we move forward. Mighty Sheep continuing to try and be aggressive, and now supported by his ally, I believe that is Stardom, with a lot of vehicles on the front line. But now we see advanced bots coming out from Team 2, most of them belonging to Yep, I believe. And Yep is going to get very aggressive right now, using those Sheldons to shell down the enemy positions. Sheldons are relatively cheap, have good range, really great kiting and scrimmaging unit here for the secondary team, or Team 2. And they're doing very, very well right now. And of course, Mighty Sheep, Quick, they're very happy with their position. I am sure they're doing a lot of good work here. They've managed to maintain a good amount of map control. But that does not necessarily mean that Team Blue has sealed this game by any means. Team Red and Yellow, and Pink, I guess, can make their way forward and make their own path in this game. They just need to start putting up some more strategic resistance. Meanwhile, down here to the south, Madajek is pushing hard in towards the base of Yep, who has come over so clutch to help out his allies, but now dealing with a bit of a harassment, does manage to fend it off. But Madajek sitting in a very strong position. Huge fight about to take place here in the middle. A bunch of tanks out from Stardom against Sheldons, and various bots coming out from his allies, as well as a few tanks now showing up. I believe those are Omega Hers tanks. And right now it seems as though we've reached an impasse. Neither team really continuing to gain territory or push. Mighty Sheep was forced to fall back after losing a commander, it would seem. And the battle lines are drawn. The units are ready. We just have to wait for somebody to get that critical mass, so that way they feel strong enough to push forward. Tyvian, who we were talking about a little bit earlier, having a little bit of a light land force, in my opinion, is showing up now, and we're gonna zoom in and take a look at his forces. He has a whole bunch of these Fiend units in front of a line of Sheldons. Those Sheldons we already talked about, but these Fiends are very, very cool units. They have flamethrowers, they run up, and when they die, they don't leave metal, so they can be used very aggressively and kind of thrown away on the enemy without worries of dumping metal to your opponents for them to use against you. Overall economies, the economies are still disadvantaged for Team 2, but it's the same disadvantage. It's still about 50, maybe 60 metal a second behind for Team 2, which is good because we're going up and up in the numbers. and they are keeping pace, but they do need to try and work on catching up, or at least do some economic damage down onto somebody like Mighty Sheep, or one of these other players who are sitting on very strong economies as of this moment. And right now, with this line of Sheldons coming out from Yep, Team 2 looking very good. They're starting to push back. Does have to worry about Madajek's attack over on this southern side. And of course, you can see Sheldons. More Sheldons now starting to pour out of the base of Synthetic to help out Yep. And now Madajek is being pushed back. Or Madijek, I don't know. It's a very difficult name for me to pronounce. It's one of those northern European names, I feel. And of course, Eldariel over here, man, the names are not going to be easy on me right now, is currently trying to build up a bit of a fire base. I haven't seen any real units out from Eldariel, but now we're starting to see some advanced vehicle units coming out. So that should be pretty good to try and push back Ragna and Kimchi, who are over on this flank. Decat also over there helping them. Ragna still playing aggressively with that commander. Meanwhile, over here, Madajek also going to try and push forward once more, but he keeps pushing forward into all of these Sheldons, and the Sheldons' main strength is that they are very quick, so they can just run away. These Sumos, they have no chance to get within range of the Sheldons unless there is Miss Micro coming out from either Yep or Synthetic. So right now you can just see those Sumos, they're getting pummeled. I love the little trash can boys. They can take a lot of hits, but this is kind of unnecessary damage being absorbed by Madajek. And the Sheldons are a real issue. We're gonna have to start seeing some longer range alternatives coming out to deal with them. And right now, we have one of those already on the field. It is, of course, an Arbiter coming out from... Who has that? I don't know what color that is. I need to zoom out until I get an icon. That is, of course, coming out from Prime Federator or Stardom or Rogovic. I can't really tell. Oh, wait, it's Buwool Scott. Buwool Scott. Damn, these names are crazy. But right now, I just want to show you the main feature that makes Bar so amazing. We're just gonna zoom right in on here, get a beautiful shot from this mountaintop, and you're gonna get to see units firing at each other from these long ranges, missiles going off. Every so often you see a line of units climb over the trenches and make their way forward just to be shot down by the machine gun-esque fire of their defensive counterparts on the enemy team. And you just see so many projectiles just flying back and forth. Those Sheldons still just wreaking havoc, but they're unable to really take any territory. It's kind of the flaw of the Sheldon. It's not able to take a hit. So if the enemy does push forward, even with really bad units, you're forced to fall back. That's how the micro works. So you have to pretty much wipe the enemy field of units. And we now have a whole bunch of these Mauser mobile artillery coming out from Stardom, and they're doing very well. He also has some Fiend help coming out. I don't know if those are his Fiends or some other players trying to help him out here. We also have Hounds. Those are the Cortex version of... Oh, wait, no, those are the Armada version of the Sheldon. And they do much the same kind of purpose there. A bit of an air fight breaking out over near the western side of the map. And a lot of action going on as a concerted push now coming out from Team Blue. And you can see all of these artillery pieces sitting behind all of the advanced tanks moving forward. And artillery pieces, these Mausers for Team Blue doing very, very well for themselves. And all of these units going forward. And I believe that was the commander of maybe Anne. No, that was the commander of Decat, I would guess, going down there. Ragna managing to walk out of that one just okay. Tons of units coming out from Eldariel, or is that Metrarch? That might be Metrarch. Now starting to push forward, and the overall state of the game is chaos. There's just shots being thrown pretty much everywhere from every angle. The Mausers seemingly dealt with for now, except for those out of Stardom, still making progress towards Ragna's base, towards the base of Anne, who has admittedly recovered very well. Anne has managed to rebuild their base after that early game pain, and we now have a nuke getting shot down beautifully on screen right there for you. There was apparently an anti-nuke there in the middle. I accidentally caught a nuke launch, and it wasn't really all that important, if I'm completely honest. That nuke coming out from at Ragna, and was able to be shot down by, I believe that was Mighty Sheep who shot it down. Did he have an anti-nuke here in the middle? Maybe a mobile one. It's hard to tell. I have so much trouble identifying what's exactly happening, but it is very fun to watch nonetheless. And we now have a lot of units, and we're going to look at this for now from this perspective of Team 2. And you can just kind of see the walls are closing in here in the middle. And on that western side, Tyvian, or western relative to the camera. Listen, the compass is just messed up. This compass points in all directions all the time. But Tyvian, over there with those cyan units, pushing forward. He's a beautiful color, and he is starting to make ground against Kimchi Bulgogi. And of course, in the middle, we have a lot of units now starting to pour out from the base of Raptor Tomas, trying to help out, but we do still have a strong cohort of ranged units showing up for both Yep and Kassar, who will be very effective in helping out here. And maybe a nuke launch could land, but we have to keep an eye on it. A lot of units now pushing forward for Yep. Has a bunch of kind of mass throwaway units coming in here. Sorry about the frame rate, by the way. It's bound to happen with so many units on field, so many orders being given. And we're going to zoom right in here and get a look at all of the action, see all of these Sheldons firing, and just get a sense of scale here. We zoom out and you kind of lose all of the sense of what's going on, but you zoom in here and you can see all of these little fights going on, defenses being thrown up on the other side, walls of various forms. That is a cataphract, I believe is the name of it. No, catapult coming out from... Who has that catapult? That is, of course, Madajek's catapult. And it is it's like the Arbiter, but fires a lot more shots. We also, I believe, those are some Shivas showing up for Madajek. So he is firmly into that experimental gantry phase of the game. And he is getting into the point where he can just push forward and try and cause as much damage as possible. We had another comm explode. Currently, the commander count is 9 to 11, and I believe the 9 is for Team Blue and the 11 is for Team Red. Or no, I think it's the other way around. 9 is for Team Red and 11 is for Team Blue. That would make a little bit more sense here, honestly. And we have nukes built up and prepared for a lot of players. I'm not sure if any have landed thus far, but if they have, they weren't on the main bases. And let's get a little bit more of a neutral view as we see all of these units firing, and we have some form of long-range artillery over here. Actually, no, it is not. What is that exactly? I can't remember the name of it. I'm trying to find it really quick. Let's go ahead and look around. Okay, it's being fired out from where exactly? It's a... I can't see it. It's a missile launcher that deals with small spam-like units very well. And I don't remember the name of it. But it is a very cool kind of use case option for anybody dealing with a lot of spam. And right now, here in the middle, we see Yep constantly battling back and forth. And over here, a nuke finally lands, and I believe that was the nuke of Ragna landing onto this forward base of Madajek. There is still some defenses that managed to survive that nuclear launch. These bulwarks, heavy energy weapons, along with their fortification walls protecting them. But Madajek, I don't think he's going to be too worried about that, given that he has a line of Shivas which are pretty good defensively and offensively, and he's now going to start pushing forward, trying to kill off some of these units out from either Synthetic or Kassar. I can't really tell from here. Kind of hard to tell the colors of things whenever you don't have the icons. And actually, those units were coming out from Omega Hers. So I was completely wrong. And there's just a constant fight going on. Let's go ahead and zoom out, give you a state of the map. Ragna now sitting on 2 commanders. Somebody has left the game and they have taken over. I think it was, I don't even have a clue who he took over for. And currently, a large contingent of forces right over here for Team Blue, looking like they're poising to attack. We also have Tyvian in the south who could try and help with an attack, wrap around up here and push in. And on the northern side, we have a constant fight going on between things like Sheldons and Tigers and Shivas. Nothing too outrageous going on yet, but we do see a Fat Boy now coming out of the base of Yep. And I am a big fan of Fat Boys, especially if you can mass up a few of them. Can really push in and do a lot of damage to the enemy side. And here in the middle, another nuke launch landing. Big, beautiful explosion out from Ragna. And he is just slowly withering down this front for Madajek, who has played so well this game, but is currently being pushed back heavily by Kassar and his ally Yep. And that is a very long-range artillery shot from the looks of it. We have a Basilica. I believe that is online and firing up here on this hill. And in fact, we have a second one. And both of these are built up by Yep. And those are basically the T3 artillery equivalent from FAF. And they are really getting some value down on this forward forces out from Team Blue. And now we just have so many units on screen just all of the time, firing away, having a grand time. And I'm just gonna zoom in here. We're gonna get a large picture of what's going on. We have a kind of small group of units over here, these Shivas coming out from Madajek, and he is supported by his ally Metrarch, and he's gonna start pushing forward here into the forces of his opponent, but not really looking too good for Team Blue. They're really struggling to gain any ground. The early game went so well, but now the economies, they're pretty much even, and the red team is just, they're just seemingly investing into some very powerful things right now. Meanwhile, over here on this side of the map, we have a push coming out. Is Tyvian helping in his own way? Yes, he is. Large group of fiends pushing in, gonna kill off all the hounds, or at least a vast majority of them, and has his own Sheldons back there to try and help out. And now there is a concerted push coming out from players like Stardom and Eldariel, trying to get forward momentum going on here. Ragna sitting up here with 2 commanders and just deciding, hey, screw it, I'm going to do this. And in fact, no, Ragna got the second commander from reviving it, it would seem, which is very interesting, using those Lazarus for their purpose of reviving units, which is something you can do. And you can tell if a unit is revived by the halo that it gains. And we'll just zoom in here. You can see that this commander has a little halo over it. That means it's been revived, which means if it dies again, it can no longer be revived. And this push coming out from Team Green, it's really starting to push forward, but it's just so many defenses laid down, and Ragna loses that haloed commander. Very unfortunate for him. And these fiends out from, I believe those are fiends of Tyvian showing up to help out. No, in fact, those are Raptors fiends starting to push forward. And now we have a concerted push coming out from Team Blue, towards Ragna and towards Ducat. They keep on getting stalled out at the 9-yard line, it would feel. And Matijek has just been completely pushed back. His Shiva's no longer able to make ground. And I'm being informed that Tyvian says that it can be resurrected regardless of if it has a halo. I thought somebody told me at one point that if it has a halo, it can no longer be resurrected if it dies. So as long as it has a corpse, it can be revived. And thank you to the live chat for correcting me as we go. I'm not the biggest expert on bar, so I do appreciate it. And by the way, this was casted live over at my YouTube channel. I live stream a couple times a week and do casts and games, so make sure you come by. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you want more bar content. You all are oh so beautiful, much like the chaos going on here. And is that a nuke launch? It is, but it gets shot down. Right there in the middle of the screen for you, was going for seemingly the base of Fontaine. Was not able to get any real value out of that there. And Ragna currently being pushed on by units out from Prime Federator. And a nuke lands right here in the middle, killing off a lot of the units for Team Blue. Nuclear point defense. But unfortunately, it didn't kill off the units that are really a threat right now, as a Thor manages to kill off the second commander of Ragna. And these Thor, these experimental lightning tanks, or Terminator tanks as they are called, come forward, and much like their namesake, they bring the thunder. And they are going to move forward here. They're going to continue to try and make ground up against Ducat. And honestly, it doesn't seem like there's anything here to stop these Thors. So they might have to build something a little bit further back to protect themselves. As those Thors push forward, it's supported by a ton of Sheldons. Another Thor coming up through the rear. And it's looking dicey for Team Red. It's looking bad. Those Thors coming out from Stardom are very dangerous, and they're the first kind of what I would define as true experimental unit. Lots of HP, lots of damage, able to hold an area very well, and able to get a lot of damage done as the Thors push forward. The base of Ducat, the base of Ragna collapses. I believe his nuke launcher is right here, and it's going down. And another nuke, I believe that was just a normal nuke, lands over here near Kimchi Bulgogi's comm. And that Armageddon, it's still alive, but the question is, for how much longer? Because these Thors will definitely not allow something so high value to survive here. And in fact, I think it's just now loaded. He needs to fire it. Ragna, you need to fire it. I believe it just loaded. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I saw that second bar fill up all the way. Yes, it does have a missile. Fire it, Ragna. Fire it now. He's asking where to shoot it. He says he's ready. Oh, no, please. The lightning tank's coming in. The Thor's coming in. It's getting shot by a tachyon accelerator. Actually, that's a beamer, not a tachyon accelerator. I'm not too bright. And, oh, did he launch it? He did, it seems. I don't know if he hit anything. Rammed this, threw some units over to Ragna. And those lightning tanks continuing to wreak havoc, but Captain Benji shows up to be the hero that they needed. D-guns that lightning tank. A risky maneuver, but always worth it if you can make it happen. And now there are a ton of units. Another nuke coming out, this time over here towards the advancing units of Team Blue, who are just starting to make a breakthrough. Sure, they degunned one lightning tank down, but there's 3 more Thors. And it just doesn't seem like they have an adequate answer to the aggression coming out mainly from Stardom. Stardom is doing great work over here. And there's not really any kind of counter push on the other side of the map that can make up for it. There are some Starlight mobile tachyon weapons moving forward over here for I don't even know who that is. That seems to be the beauty. But they're not really getting anything done. And over here, Captain Benji, Ram this, both under threat of just falling apart. Juand also over here. Or Jahand. It's hard to say. Trying to get himself, I guess, set up to deal with this. But Ram this goes up, D-guns the Thor. Ram this gonna go for another D-gun. Self-destruct. Coming out onto that Thor for some reason. I guess answers in the comments why you would self-destruct it. And currently there is a bit of a petering out of the forces of Stardom, but making huge headway against the opposing team there. Very nice play coming out from him. Tyvian now seemingly has been set up with a artillery of some form. In fact, 3 of them, 3 basilisks set up over here. Let's just go ahead and zoom in. Let's see how loud the basilisk is. Oh no! Oh, that was a nuke getting shot down by Tyvian here, I would seem, or by one of his allies. And the basilisk, you can see them just on this hill firing away. Very beautiful sight. It's very calm when you're away from all the action. But let's get back to the high intensity gameplay over here. Still, Sheldon's trying to be used effectively. I believe these are all coming out from, yes, that's Kassar, but it feels as though Sheldon's have outlived their usefulness. But Kassar has realized that and is now going for Vanguards, and if you can spam up enough Vanguards, they can be massively effective. Ambassador, stealthy rocket launchers coming out over here for Metrarch to defend. And if those Vanguards sit still for too long, those ambassadors will give them a message that they shan't enjoy hearing. And a lot of fire going on, but it feels as though the game has kind of stalled out a little bit, neither side making any headway. Yep, still sitting on a massive army of grunts over here. And we have 3 Thors coming out from Stardom, trying to push in towards the bases of players like Omega Hers and the Kama Phoenix there, and Yep's base by kind of extension, as we see some Razorbacks and the occasional Titan coming out from Yep to try and defend against these Thors. The Thor's unable to get any huge value here, but can continue to try and push forward. The Titan versus Thor matchup over here with some Razorbacks thrown in for flavor. I feel like all of the units in the late game, like all of these super late game units, they just get a missile launcher. Like, yeah, you know what? Strap a missile to it. It'll be all right. That missile good. And yeah, the Thor is warded off by the Titan. Surprised we haven't seen a Juggernaut yet. There are definitely players with the economy to afford it, but the biggest unit we've seen thus far is that Titan. Maybe the Cortex players aren't doing well economically. Another nuke lands. Yep's commander over here, dancing in the nuclear hellfire. This is fine. And Yep needs to move that commander. Now, you just see these long-range artillery are dominating the battlefield. There's a lot of stealth and jamming going on over here. Plasma deflectors as well to stop the plasma shells from coming in. That's this game's version of shields, but they only stop plasma shells. And you can see right there that plasma shell deflected on the shield over here. Tyvian's artillery not really getting the damage it wishes it could. And let's zoom out, get the state of the game. Down here to the south, we're seeing some catapult heavy rocket bots coming out from Tyvian, wants to push forward. And honestly, I feel like any push from Team Blue right now needs to have a mobile anti-nuke in order to protect it from these point defense tactical nukes. And right now, it seems as though Ragna pretty much eliminated from the game. He does have his own Thor right now, but I don't know where his base is. Doesn't really have one. It's been destroyed. And right, this overall, the battle wages on. The fight continues. And a nuclear launch coming out of the base of Fontaine gets shot down by an anti-nuke from somebody. Somebody in the chat was saying that missiles pass through keepers. Yes, I said that. I said plasma deflectors. They are a version of shields. And they only stop plasma shells, which is a very specific type of weapon in this game. But I will clarify for that person in chat. And currently, tons of units on both sides just sitting idle, not willing to push forward. Nobody really has anything that is strong enough to break the defenses of the other side. Eldariel trying to push forward with their own defenses. And down here to this side, we have a ton of all-terrain bots out from Tyvian. I believe that these are the Karganaths, the all-terrain assault mechs, the experimentals, I believe, or I think they come out of the experimental gantry. I could be wrong, but yep, loses the commander, but kills all but one Karganath, and this Karganath most likely just gonna die to Captain Benji. Not too long for this world. May pick up an advanced metal extractor, but nope, does not manage it. And over here to the north, Tyvian is just setting up shop, deciding to, oh wait, no, that's Yep trying to build that. Seemed as though he was going to set up shop, try and just build that metal extractor. And now there are a bunch of sharpshooter sniper bots coming out over here from Captain Benji to defend against all of this. In the middle, we're seeing tons of units get stacked up. We have multiple Titans now for Yep. He's just unable to push forward to make something happen with them. And that's a large army of Thors now showing up, and the battle is going to begin. Thors and Titans and Vanguards, oh my. And these Thors look as though they're winning it. The Titan over here has been stunned up by something or other, and that Titan most likely just gonna go down here for nothing. Oh, that's very unfortunate for Yep. Losing the Titan there. Get a view from the defending angle. There are now Thors creeping up towards the base of Yep. His Vanguard's trying to defend. Allied Thors showing up to defend. Titan doing its damnedest. All of these Basilica trying to fire from long range and even hit the Thors themselves. And that push does peter out. Does seem as though Stardom too afraid to just throw his units in. Doesn't think he can win it. Such a beautiful game to watch. The Thor's gonna move forward once again. The Vanguard count for Tsar going up faster. If he can get up a critical mass, and that just kind of feels like what both sides need to do. They need a critical mass. Ragna has somehow gotten a commander again, which is quite funny. Tyvian trying to push forward, still building those Karganeths. And Ozpark and Ragna's comm over here being used as a kind of form of defense. That roving D-gun is always a threat. And here at Beyond All Reason, they love their spectacles. And there's about to be a new one. Titans out from Yep trying to come over to help defend against this Thor push that's inbound from Stardom. But they also need to be careful. Nukes have been used many a times this game for point defense purposes. Yep trying to play the entire field. I'd really love to see a Juggernaut in this match, but I don't think we're gonna get it. It's just, I guess, too expensive. But these Titans and these Razorbacks trying to hold off against the Thors. They're not doing too shabby a job of it, but the Thor's still making progress. And they're gonna get into the base of Omega Hers. And Omega Hers is going to show up with a D-gun. Yet again, another self-destruct on a Thor. I wonder what the logic behind that is. Omega Hers loses the commander. And there's a Titan trying to chase them down. There's Thors in defense out from Tsar. Phoenix going to show up with his own commander and going to Whoa! Phoenix just immediately dies there. Another Thor going to go down. And this middle area has just been absolutely destroyed by Team Blue. And right now, Team Red looking as though they may not survive the next few minutes. They're just being pushed upon. And they are being ripped apart. Tyvian poised to attack with an army of Karganeths over here. On this side of the map, Captain Benji gonna be hard pressed to deal with that as the Karganeths crest that hill. Gonna be a really cool sight right here. Come on, Tyvian. Send him over that hill. Send him over, you coward. Do it, Tyvian. You're gonna send the anti-air and the grunts, but you're not gonna send the Karganeths? Come on. It's just a little hill. Get up it. Darn, I'm not gonna get the cool shot because Tyvian is scared. Really, Tyvian? Really? He's in chat right now, so I'm just gonna give him a bunch of crap. You gotta make the pretty pictures for me, Tyvian. Here in the middle, this area trying to be retaken. But unfortunately will not most likely be able to be taken by red team. They're in a rough position. Yep, their strongest player arguably seems to have lost some form of economy because he's just not putting out nearly as many units as he was just moments ago. And overall economies, it's 2-1 for Team Blue. Would have to be a colossal mismanagement, I think, right now for Team Blue to lose. And that is an anti-nuke shooting down a nuke. And the defenses of Team Red are faltering. And the offense is looking good for Team Blue. I'm curious what Team Red may try and do. What they could even try and do. Another nuke getting shot down. Nukes so much more cheap in this game than FAF. And the sniper bots over here for Captain Benji seemingly holding off a lot of this attack out from Tyvian. And whatever these artillery pieces that are firing are don't seem too powerful. They're not doing it seems like they're not doing very much damage. They do look very cool though. What are those? They are long-range anti-air towers. That might be why they're very bad at killing land units. And over here on this side of the map, we have ourselves a big push coming out from Matajek and his ally Stardom, as well as a Juggernaut. Oh, so happy to see it. The biggest of big boys, the Chonker. Oh, just look at his glory. His glorious form. Yeah, that Juggernaut really I think it was the impetus that was needed for Stardom to feel safe enough to push forward. And now the Titan factory goes down with an almost complete Titan in the bay. Just needed to finish the paint job. And it's looking absolutely desperate for Team Red now. They had already lost the other side of the map, and now they're losing this side. And this 32-player epic of a match seems to be in its final moments. Was that the Juggernaut dying? No, the Juggernaut's still pushing forward. And it is pushing forward damn near unopposed. There's some vanguards. There are some defenses. They mean very little for a team this far behind. That face laser. I'm a sucker for face lasers. I love the GC. And these Thors pushing forward. They are going to slowly but surely win the game for Team Blue. They have collapsed one side of the map, and now the other side is going. Tyvian sending the commander. Now he sends the Karganeths over the hill when I'm not ready to give everybody the beautiful shot of them cresting the hill. And they are going to fight the Thors. Unfortunately, the Thors are just going to kind of do better into this. Nuke lands. Accidentally caught a very beautiful nuke launch, or nuke landing there. Killing off one of the big bases left for Team Red. And the rest of the big bases left are soon to fall. And I would like to thank all of you all for watching as we close out this game here. Thank you to the channel members and Patreons who support this channel oh so much. You all are oh so beautiful. If you want more bar content, make sure to go down and like this video to have it shared out more by the algorithm. Make sure you comment and make sure you subscribe because more is coming, I promise. You all are oh so beautiful, and thank you to all of the players in this game. And with the final push coming in, somehow there's still like 5 whole commanders for this southern team, or for Team 2. In fact, none of them are being controlled by anybody. That means there's no players left in the game. So the game is over. I'm going to let the pretty explosions go on. And here soon, all these commanders will be dead. And yeah, you all are beautiful. Thank you to the chat for keeping me honest throughout this game. And yeah, you all are beautiful. And this is Willow, signing off.